children to my mind. I'm a victim.
Hola, amigo.
Hola, amigo. I am in a fantastic mood today, which is why I was rocking out to the Nemesis song.
It is a fine little ditty they wrote there. I think they call that an upbeat polka.
Upbeat polka. Polka.
Right before I left work, I was scrolling through Facebook and it said statement regarding Jakey Lee shooting in Las Vegas.
Jakey Lee, boys and girls, is a guitar player. Tell people who he is because not everybody knows.
Okay, so Jakey Lee, his claim to fame is he was the next permanent guitar in Ozzy Osbourne after Randy Rhoads died in a tragic plane crash.
Right.
And he recorded the Ultimate Sin album, which was
a great album, man. I love that album. Ozzy doesn't like that album at all.
I love it.
Right? I think it's one of his best top five.
Dude, Jake's rhythms are I strive to have that kind of rhythm guitar. It was just so interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
So that's who Jakey Lee is. Badass guitar player. Played with Ozzy Osbourne. He started his own band called Badlands. Awesome.
That's right. I forgot about that. And you had a band called Angel and a Bad Man, which is kind of like the Badlands, but not really.
And I was first. Thank you.
Right.
So, as confirmed by management, legendary rock guitarist Jakey Lee, Ozzy Osbourne, Badlands, Red Dragon Cartel is his current band, was shot multiple times early this morning in a Las Vegas neighborhood.
Fuck.
No, excuse me. He was shot multiple times early this morning in Las Vegas, Nevada, in a Las Vegas, Nevada street shooting. Jesus, I can't read. Lee is fully conscious and doing well in an intensive care unit at a Las Vegas hospital. He is expected to fully recover. Las Vegas authorities believe the shooting was completely random and occurred while Lee took his dog out for a walk in the early morning hours.
Must have been a stupid-looking dog or something, because why would you shoot Jakey Lee? He doesn't seem like a very threatening human.
Not at all that I've ever heard.
Maybe it's like he's this big, Jakey Lee rock star thing. The dude was walking like a chihuahua, some stupid little dog that everybody hates, and people are like, "What the fuck, dude? Why are you walking with a chihuahua?"
Ankle biter.
Right? Because that, legit, that could be serious right there. That could be the whole reason behind it. Because ankle biters are fucking stupid animals. You know what I'm saying?
Or are people just incredibly fucking crazy?
They are incredibly fucking crazy, Mike Michaels.
We have a mental health problem.
You heard it here first. Mike Michaels has acknowledged to the world that people are fucking crazy.
Turn your preamp up a little bit.
Turning my preamp up. What's my preamp? Let me see the preamp. That one? Is it that one?
Yep, that's good.
That one's good.
Yep, wait, just a touch more.
Just a touch more, laddie. Hello.
There you go.
Hello.
Now everybody's hearing your important message coming through as to what a genius I was to say the world's going fucking crazy.
Right. According to Mike Michaels, it's the end of the world as we know it, and we feel fine.
I think that might be a great song.
That is a great song if you're into Michael Stipe and Rem. I like to call him Rem. I know some people say R-E-M, but I prefer Rem. Rem, R-E-M, rapid eye movement. Or maybe it's Reem.
Yes.
Maybe it should be Rem. Reem.
I like Rem.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rem.
Right. Hey, for boys and girls that you don't know, this is the Chris and Mike Show. We are live here in Wisconsin, home of the Green Bay Packers.
And this won me some money this Sunday.
Oh, nice job. This is our weekly tribute to. This is our weekly tribute to ourselves. Hey, did you watch Monday Night Football last night?
I did, but I fell asleep about third quarter.
Dude, did you see that throw?
I won that game too, thank you.
Right on. Did you see that throw that Aaron Rodgers made?
Yes. The Hail Mary?
No. The one that was under
I did not
the
see this
defender's
one.
armpit.
I did not see that one.
Holy shit, Mike. I'm going to send it to you on my phone, to your phone, because legit, dude, that right there is like, holy shit, he may be fucking old and losing a step, but wow.
Oh, he's amazing.
But wow. Wow, do I still have it? Yes.
I thought the Hail Mary was brilliant enough. That was crazy.
This was before the Hail. This was before the Hail Mary. I just sent it to you on your phone. But
that was before?
Yeah.
Oh, I fell asleep twice then.
It was 11 or maybe it was 11 minutes 11 seconds left, and I think in the maybe it was after, yeah, 11ish, somewhere in the 11-minute mark, I think in the fourth quarter. But watch that, dude. Watch how that zings through that small window of opportunity.
Holy shit. Right? I just saw the slow-mo right there.
Right? That's what I'm saying, dude. Fucking unreal.
That's just what you call unreal. In the music world, that's what we would call incredible timing. So it's the same in sports.
Yeah. Fucking just, I like, damn. Like,
you have to just have instinct to make that throw. You know?
Yeah, and I purposely looked at the time on the TV because I didn't want to stop the game. So then when the game was over, I rewound it and captured that moment. So yeah, everybody talks about the fucking Hail Mary and shit, but that throw, that hitting that
amazing.
Small fucking window, which dumb luck, obviously, because you didn't think the defender was going to be there. But for the defender to have his arm up and the ball just right through that, it's just like, wow. That's just call it a day, man. Right there, just call it a day.
The universe wanted that catch to be made.
It did. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because if you understand the definition of an infinity, that catch has been made that way in every way possible in every universe ever.
Yes. Yep. Agreed.
But I was very happy with the outcome because I had money on Buffalo.
Buffalo.
I don't bet against Josh Allen. Here's two tips for those of you who are trying to sports bet.
Right.
And one interesting fact that is 100% true, I have never lost $1 of my own money betting on sports. So we'll just leave it at that because what I gamble is between me and Chris and all, that's just not podcast material. But
right.
I can sit here and honestly say I have never lost $1 of my own money sports betting. So with that said, don't ever bet against Josh Allen. Just don't bet on the game.
No.
And don't ever bet against Patrick Mahomes. Just don't bet on the game. If you don't want to take the Chiefs or you don't want to take the Bills, just find another game because those two guys will burn your ass every fucking time. That's just, they're amazing. They know how to win. Aaron Rodgers knows how to win too, but I think you alluded to it earlier. He might have lost a step, and the Jets defense completely let them down last night. They're supposed to be the star of the show. Everybody talked about the Jets defense, and they did not show up against Buffalo.
Well, and then everybody was saying, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is healthy. We're going to the Super Bowl." Yeah, no, you're not. You're not. And then, staying in the New York state of mind, way to go Buffalo. And then a third team in New York, fucking idiots that they are, the Giants, 1-14 in primetime. Daniel Jones, 1 win, 14 losses.
Listen,
now, I watched that. I watched the game, right, and I watched it objectively because I don't like Daniel Jones. He's not somebody who I like as a quarterback because he's.
I agree with you.
I just don't like him. But I watched the game objectively, and Brian Dable fucking made stupid play calls. It was 4th and 3. They went for it all the time, all day on 4th down and short. 4th down 1, 4th down 2. Motherfucker just lined Daniel Jones up behind center and go forward. Because every time he did that, it worked. The one that they needed, the one that they absolutely needed, they did a 4th and 3. He needed some fucking kick out weird side pass bullshit that the defense just, we know what's coming here. He's tall. He's like 6'6" or something. Just fucking give him the ball and fall forward.
Daniel Jones is that big?
He's a fucking big motherfucker.
I did not know he was that big.
Well, it's because on TV everybody looks small. SMO.
No, I don't follow the Giants like you do. I've seen a handful of games, but I guess I just
so
of big quarterbacks. I think are Herbert and that's awesome. He should be way more effective if he's that tall and that big.
I'm gonna confirm that, but he's not small at all.
Well, I believe it. I mean,
6'5".
Yeah,
6'5".
So being that big, he should be effective in the NFL. But I agree with you, he is not.
You would think, but he's not. And
No.
and part of that game, number one reason we lost that game was Daniel Jones. It made some terrible fucking throws. Number two, Brian Daboll needs to fucking stop being the offensive coordinator or just go be an offensive coordinator and resign as head coach. And number three, the fucking field goal kicker could not kick a 45-yard field goal to save his life, which, by the way, that carried over to the Jets game because they missed a 45-yard field goal too. So
Thankfully.
Something's going on with the end zone at the Giants Stadium. We don't know what it is.
I'm super happy with the result in my game, but super unhappy for you.
Well, what sucks is they would have been 3-3. And then I forget who they play next. Next week, I think do they have a bye? Because they play the Steelers on the 28th. And I was like, oh, we could be 4-3 if we win that game. But yeah, now their season's just fucking over. It's just fucking over.
But
and they didn't run the ball, man. They didn't run the ball in the first quarter. That like Tyrone Tracy had a fucking epic game the week before, and it took him till the second half to really start running the ball. And I'm like, motherfucker, as a viewer, I know as a viewer, how does football work? It works off the run game, play, action, pass.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, since you kind of talked me into it, I've been listening to Eli and Peyton.
Right.
And the one thing that I'll give you credit for is that I appreciate understanding how things work at a high level, right?
Correct.
They really make it easy to understand what needs to be done for each side to be effective. They,
right?
They're impartial to a point, and then they got their biases because obviously they were pros.
Fans. Yeah,
sure,
they're fans,
absolutely. But it's fun to listen to Belichick on a level that you wouldn't expect him to.
Right.
Like Peyton last night got him to confirm that, I don't remember the Pro Bowler's name, but Belichick basically made that guy a Pro Bowler so that he could get a $1 million bonus. He didn't admit to it. What he admitted to was, jokingly, I selected him for the Pro Bowl team because I was the interim head coach or whatever. And I'm to understand that he got a $1 million bonus. It's like, what more do you want to know?
Right.
He didn't confirm that he did that for that reason, for legal purposes, but it was cool that he admitted, I made him a Pro Bowler, and to understand that he got a $1 million bonus.
It's kind of like, if you don't know anything about Bill Parcells, and if you haven't never heard stories from him post-football life, right? He will never say no to any of his past players reaching out for help, regardless of if it's financial, if it's housing, if it doesn't matter.
That's awesome.
Like millions and millions of dollars he's given to his past players over the years when they've reached out for help, and his response to that was, they gave me everything they had, so it's my turn to give back. And that's awesome. And he doesn't do it because you don't hear about it. I heard about that, some random thing I watched, and it was about somebody else completely, some documentary in football related Giants world, and that came up as a side conversation in the actual program itself, and I'm like, whoa.
That's cool.
It's those that
love
do.
To hear those stories.
I do too, I love to hear it when it's not forefront.
Absolutely, because to me, Belichick is this scowl on the sideline for 20 fucking years, 30, 40, however long you've been watching football.
Long fucking time.
So you just think that
he won a ring with the Giants in '86, so he's been around for a long fucking time.
Absolutely.
Not to interrupt you.
So, I just think that he's this horrible fucking not ever happy human being, and he's actually one of the funniest dudes I've ever heard talk. He just I understand why he's got a successful, famous podcast, obviously because he's Bill Belichick. But then when you actually hear him talk, you're like, wow, this dude's actually laid back, got a sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh,
when he said, I never gave up a single point being head coach of the Jets because he only did it for like 2 days.
Right, exactly.
Once on either end of Parcells' career with the Jets.
Yeah.
Never gave up a single point with the Jets.
Yeah. They had him on. The first time they had him on was a few weeks ago, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And they opened up just ribbing.
I've listened ever since. When you told me he was on there, I'm like, I want to understand what kind of human being he is, so I tuned in. I thank you for that. That was awesome.
So I was surprised he was on last night. I didn't think he was coming back because usually they have one person on and then they rotate every episode.
I think Peyton really likes to pick his brain.
Because Peyton, those three right there, football geniuses. I mean, imagine if they were in a team, a GM, a coach, and you know what I mean? Fuck me,
unbelievable.
Dude. That would be insane. That's why That's why got to fire Dayball, bring Belichick back to the Giants where he started his career. Let him go out in the sunset. Like drive it off into the sunset. They drop fuck dumbass Daniel Jones. They pick up Arch Manning, and fucking the Manning legacy continues moving forward. The Giants fucking have an uptick. Belichick built another dynasty for about 5-10 years, and off we go.
I think Bill would sign up for that if they would offer him the right amount of money, because he seems to really take to Peyton as far as like the football knowledge, and he seems to really enjoy that banner between them.
Agreed, because they both have this. They all three of them have the massive football IQs, and Eli's in the upper management of the Giants. I don't know what he does, but he's somewhere in the corporate part of it.
He's funny, man. I just dig his demeanor. He's very laid back, but he's very witty.
Oh yeah.
He's got some good comebacks for Peyton slams all the time.
True story about Eli Manning. Every single city they played when the Giants played, regardless who it was, every single city, as soon as the game was over, he was done in the locker room and showered. He had somebody in every single city that brought him a 6-pack of beer after the game.
I like him even more.
And that's what he did. That's what he did post-game. He drank the beer in the locker room and just relaxed.
That's awesome.
Before they got on the bus. Every single fucking city he played. Yep.
I'm going to have to find out what the actual Facebook page is, but I've been having this like crazy old baseball statistic stuff show up, and it's funny, like before there was a players union and everything was organized like it is now, these players, to Chris's point, Eli did it after the game and didn't violate team rules and all that shit they got now, but Christ, some of these things they'll say so-and-so would have a 6-pack of beer before he played the game and smoking cigarettes in the dugout and batted career .427 and, just amazing statistics. But these guys were not the epitome of health like the athletes are today. They watch their body fat and what they eat. And
Well, Pete
all
Rose,
good things.
Pete Rose, some of in his era of playing, not the entire time he played, but in part of the era, because I know a baseball player that played in that era or knew. They called it leaded coffee, so they put speed in coffee.
Okay.
And they would drink it in the clubhouse before the game. They would have
that
a cup of
stuff
coffee
was
before the game.
accepted back then.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. It wasn't like they were sneaking it or anything.
No,
Everybody knew what they were doing.
Yeah. But that's that.
I love those stories, man.
Yeah. And then the other thing we talked about Pete Rose too. He never missed a game for how many fucking years? And years.
Unprecedented.
Yep.
But the thing that people need to realize is, they compare everyone to Nolan Ryan. They compare everyone to Pete Rose. It's like there's one of those people in this universe.
Well, and you and I have talked. You can't compare it. Like you can't compare Tom Brady to Terry Bradshaw.
Nolan Ryan was killing people in his 40s. Just murdering hitters.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And consistently. Like he wasn't just a fly in the ointment. He was kind of like Randy Johnson. They consistently were badasses.
Absolutely. Imagine trying to take either one of those guys out of a baseball game if you were the manager.
Unfucking believable.
They'd be like, no.
Yeah. So since you brought up Nolan Ryan, 7 no-hitters. 7. 7.
That's my favorite pitcher, dude.
May 15th, 1973. July 15th, 1973. September 28th, 1974. June 1st, 75. September 26th, 81. And then a jump. June 11th, 1990. And then May 1st, 1991. So he went from 81 to 90 with no-hitters and still did 2 more before he left.
That's crazy.
Right? Fucking insane, dude. Let's see about Randy Johnson, what he had.
He'd be my second favorite because I got to see him quite a few times at the Bob.
Yeah, I saw him at the Bob too. On TV. I watched the game, the no-hitter game that he did at Bankball Ballpark.
Yep, me too. Absolutely.
Where is it? How many? Okay, there it is. How many no-hitters did Randy Johnson get? And Johnson, who won 303 games and lost 166 over his 20-year career, had only 2 no-hitters.
Wow, that's surprising.
That is surprising, isn't it? What about steroid boy Roger Clemens? You know what Randy Johnson does now, right?
I do not.
He's a photographer, and he did, no longer now though, but he was Rush's photographer. Loves
Really?
Rush. Yeah. Fucking loves Rush, dude. He went on tour with
awesome.
him. Yeah. Went on tour with him.
Can I be your photographer?
Right.
Of course, Randy Johnson, you may be our photographer. Wait, hold on. Let me see a couple. Yeah, you could be our photographer.
Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Greg Maddox, who spent 10 years with the Cubs, never had a no-hit game.
I did not know that.
Wow.
That's a super interesting baseball fact. Greg Maddox never had a no-hitter?
No, because it's like one of the questions that popped up was did Greg Maddox ever throw a no-hitter? And it said Greg Maddox, who spent 10 seasons with the Cubs, also never had a. That's a tongue twister. He never had one. Never had one.
Not with the Cubs nor the Braves, so just his whole career, no-hitters.
Let's see Greg Maddox.
Because he was amazing when he went to the Braves.
Yeah.
He sucked when he was, well, he didn't suck. We traded him away right when he was at his peak.
Yeah. No, Greg Maddox was a fucking beast, dude. Nope, he didn't throw a single one in his career. Not one.
That's surprising. I would not have guessed that.
Wow. Who? And then Nolan Ryan. Yeah, I said which pitcher has the most? Nolan Ryan, 7. Maddox never threw a perfect game. John Smoltz, never. There's a Maddox rule. A Maddox describes a start in which a pitcher tosses a complete game shutout fewer than 100 pitches. Named after Hall of Famer Greg Maddox, the term was coined by baseball writer Jason Lukart. So he did a complete game.
Read that one more time, please.
A Maddox. It's the Maddox rule.
Okay.
Maddox describes a start in which a pitcher tosses a complete game shutout on fewer than 100 pitches. Named after Hall of Famer Greg Maddox, the term was coined by baseball writer Jason Lukart.
Okay. Never heard that before.
I didn't either.
So you got to do a complete game shutout in less than 100 pitches. That's not easy to do.
No. Less than 100 pitches.
Yeah, less than 100 pitches. Not easy to do.
On July 22nd, 1997, Greg Maddox threw a 78-pitch complete game versus the Cubs.
Of course he did.
78 pitches, dude.
That's what you call kicking him in the nuts.
Right? Because think about it. You have if you get strikeouts, it's essentially 9 pitches a game if they don't touch a single ball. But that's insane. 78 pitches divided by 9 innings. What's that going to be? 78 pitches divided by 9 innings. That's 8.6 pitches per inning.
Which is fucking amazing if you watch baseball.
Dude.
Look up this fact.
Okay.
How many World Series did he win with the Braves? Because that's the other thing that kicked the Cubs in the nuts. The Cubs didn't win a World Series till 2016.
So Gregory. Oh, we're going to get deep here. Gregory.
That's because he's a World Series champion now.
Gregory Allen Maddox, born April 14, 1966, also known as Mad Dog and the Professor, is an American former professional baseball pitcher who played 23 seasons in the Major League Baseball, primarily with the Atlanta Braves and Chicago Cubs. He won the 1995 World Series with the Braves over the Cleveland Indians. So
that's it?
One.
Okay. I thought the Braves won more.
I'm sorry. He's won 4 Cy Young awards in a row.
Well, that's pretty.
In a row.
In a row?
Okay. How many Cy Youngs did Greg Maddox win in a row? 4, from 1992 to 1995.
That makes him a super stud. That's fucking crazy.
If
you want to win a Cy Young once, he did it 4 times in a row.
Yep. Okay, so since we're on the rabbit hole for baseball,
okay,
the topic here is who's better, Greg Maddox or Roger Clemens, based on the stats. Okay, if you want to go by overall stats,
okay,
Clemens has 354 wins, a 65.8% winning percentage, a 3.12 ERA, 118 complete games, 4,916 innings pitched, 4,672 career strikeouts with 1.17 ERA with runners in scoring position, right?
Wow.
Maddox, 355 wins, so one more than Roger. 61% winning percentage, so about 40% less than Roger. 3.16 ERA, Roger had 3.12. 109 complete games, Clemens had 118. But boys and girls, remember, steroid boy, Roger Clemens.
I knew you were going to say that. I wanted to say it so bad. I'm like, he'll say it.
5,008.1 innings pitched, and Roger Clemens had 4916. So Maddox had more innings pitched. Maddox had 3,371 strikeouts, and Clemens had 4672. And the runner while in hitting, the WHIP thing, 1.14, where Clemens was 1.17. So you take out the steroids, I think Clemens would not be as solid as Maddox. Just saying.
No, and if we're going just on wins, I win because I won one more game than you. So let's go have a beer or something, dinner, whatever you want.
Yeah.
I win because you can talk about all the other stuff, but I do have one more win than you. That's what I'd always be saying if I were him.
So he has a net worth, Greg Maddox, of $70 million.
I could live on that for a couple days.
I could do that for a couple days myself. Let's see about Roger Clemens. I think he spent a lot of his on steroids.
Steroids, are they that expensive? I don't know. I
don't know.
Obviously, have never done
the legal
or
fees.
I did them wrong.
the legal fees. They say he has $70 million net worth too. I call bullshit. You can't have exactly the same amount of net worth.
What's it say? Mike Michaels' net worth is.
Check this one out. The 15 richest baseball players of all time. Okay.
All right.
So automatically
15?
15. It only gives me 13. So this automatically trumps that statement with Roger Clemens because this one says he's only worth $60 million.
How accurate are those things, do you believe?
I don't know, because that's it. That's all I got. They just show the one.
No, I mean, just like, do you ever do the net worth thing on Google?
No, never.
It's fun. I rabbit hole that shit forever, dude. I'm not going to lie. I'll admit wonder what that guy's worth. And it'll tell you, and then it'll give you like 10 more people. What are they worth? Oh, hey, let me go down this.
Yeah, I never.
Like Rob Dyrdek, ridiculousness. What would you guess he's worth? I was fucking shocked.
I'm going to say something stupid like say 40 million.
You win. 50
really?
million. 50 million.
Okay.
He's worth $50 million.
He must have syndicated that show. That's what all the money is.
Dude, that's the only thing that's on MTV. It goes in like 8-hour blocks.
It's fucking, and it's stupid, man. It's fucking stupid.
I actually, you know me, I actually like stupid humor. So
I know. Well, I do too, to an extent. So check this shit out, right? We had our 35th anniversary reunion this weekend. Okay,
I saw that.
Okay, so
that's awesome.
We had a serial killer in our class. He didn't graduate with us, but he was a freshman, and then he was pictured as a freshman and a sophomore.
Okay.
His name was Todd Christopher Colehep.
And then he disappeared from the school.
Well, Nikki looked it up last night and read it. But he's an American sex offender, mass shooter, and serial killer convicted of murdering 7 people in South Carolina between 2003 and 2016. He also kidnapped and raped at least 2 women and has killed many more. So when he's eligible for parole next month, ironically enough. Like,
holy shit.
Right.
And there's people fucking got busted selling pounds of kilos of marijuana that are in jail for the rest of their fucking life. This guy's up for parole next month.
Yeah. And he was serving, well, this says he's serving 7 consecutive life sentences without parole. But what Nikki read last night, he legit is up for parole in November.
I believe it because we're overcrowded in a lot of prisons.
Yeah. The dude was a trip because he was very intelligent. He had a genius IQ. He was kind of a sociopath, meaning like, politicians, sociopaths, not because he was a psychopath. Okay, he was a sociopath.
Do you remember this dude?
No, but when we were having a conversation, one of my friends from school is like, "Oh, no." I'm like, "No shit." So I looked it up when I got home, and I'm like, "No shit, there he is." So when he was in Arizona, he was, I forget how old he was, but the girl was 14. So he basically raped this 14-year-old girl, tied her up, everything in his house, raped her, and then walked her back to her house.
How old was he at this time?
He's 16, 17, something like that.
Jesus.
So he, let's get the story on that.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
I know, dude. But the crazy thing is he told her that if you tell your parents, I will kill them all. I will kill your entire family.
So he was crazy from the get-go.
Crazy, kind of, sort of. So South Carolina. Oh, come on, stupid thing. So South Carolina.
You know what I mean by crazy.
Oh yeah,
He's not wired right.
Yeah. Okay. So So here it is. When he was living in Phoenix area, which was Tempe, because he went to McClintock, 1986. He was accused of raping a 14-year-old girl. He was born in 71, so he was 15 because I was born in 70 and I would have been 16. The teenager confessed to the crime and spent 14 years in prison before his 2001 release. 16 years later, he was sentenced to life in prison this May after pleading guilty to 7 counts of murder in South Carolina. He committed the string of slayings over more than 10 years while running a real estate business during the day.
Oh shit!
And he had He bought like 50-acre land, 50-acre parcel, and with the house and stuff, he put a fence around the whole thing. And that's where the bodies were. So people would come work on his land, then he would kill them.
No shit, and then he buried him on his own fucking property?
According to the Spartanburg Herald Journal. Right? Kohlhepp recently wrote the newspaper to say he had tried to tell investigators and the FBI about additional victims. He said tips were blown off, according to the paper. At this point, I don't really see any reason to give numbers and locations, Kohlhepp wrote, although he alluded to victims in other states and possibly out of the country.
And they didn't look into any of them?
According to him. FBI officials confirmed an investigation is pending but could not be reached Sunday to comment whether the agency is looking at Arizona. I don't know when this thing was written. When was this written? December of 2017. Kohlhepp's, we'll just tell him, his name's Todd. Todd's killing spree came to light in 2016 after a police rescued a woman he had chained at the neck in a storage container on his property that he was using as a sex slave.
Oh, my God.
The woman told investigators she saw Todd kill her boyfriend and that other missing people could be found on a 95-acre property. I thought it was 95-acre. The resulting search turned up buried bodies in shallow graves. There's a picture of an excavator. So yeah, so if you and he's not a good looking guy, but he was like just.
Well, don't matter when you're getting people to come over, then they're kind of
but just
captive
like
audience.
Right. So while he was in prison, he got like a degree for. I'm sorry. Once he got out of prison, he got computer science degrees and some weird, like legit, like went to school, got bachelor's degrees and shit. I mean, the guy had what's the word? He was not motivated, but he was driven. Like he wanted to be somebody, not just a fuck.
That's how that kid that was my fucking roommate when I was in college was. That I told you that was weird as fuck, man. He was a nuclear
physicist or something, right? Some weird.
Yeah, he was a nuclear physics major. That's what he was going to college for. But he was the same way. You could tell that the wheels were always fucking turning at a level that you and I could never even imagine.
Yeah. Weird, man. Just fucking
and our
weird.
brains work like fucking wildfire anyway because we're musicians, right? So we're always thinking music and you apply the same level of discipline that you applied to become a musician in every aspect of your life. That's why you're successful. That's why eventually I became successful again when I checked back into society. For those of you that don't know, I checked out for quite a few years. More than you could ever imagine. From about 34 to 37, yeah.
But everybody checks out a little bit. It's just part of life, man. It's just it's a reason why you checked out.
But here's what I'm going to I apologize, dude. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, dude, you're good.
Here's what I can sympathize with that guy. As crazy as this is going to sound,
okay.
I was for those of you who are just listening, I'm about a quarter of an inch with my finger and my thumb.
Oh, I see.
I was about that close to not where that guy was in his mind, but I was that close to being as crazy as you would think that guy was for everything he did to those poor women. I was not willing. I'm not, I've never thought in that direction, but I understand what psychosis is because I've had it. And I thought I was going to have to live with it forever. It's where you just have this whole fucking subplot going on in your subconscious and you can't stop it. It's like you got a constant movie going on and you feel like people are talking about you and everybody's out to get you. Yeah. And no matter if they're trying to help you or they're just a person on the street, there's a whole part of their life that gets interjected into your brain and somehow they know what you're doing and paranoia sets in.
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that mindset where your brain's not working right. I guess that's what I'm getting at is, when you're a productive member of society and you're doing what, people think you should do every day. You're going to work, you're making money, you're paying taxes, you're buying into the system. When you check out of that, it's real easy to just keep sliding down. In that guy's case, he wasn't wired right from birth. I truly believe that. You and I, here's what I was going to say when you said that. What are the odds for two guys who are into serial killers on a level that nobody should be, which is what Chris and I would talk about at lengths back in the band days? It's like, hey, do you know about, so-and-so? And Did you hear about this guy? What are the odds that you went to school with a fucking serial killer?
Right? That's what I was saying when I found. I'm like, what, motherfucker, serious? I mean, we don't condone it by no way, shape, or form.
No, it's just right. How can somebody get to that point where they can invite somebody over to do work on their house and end up chaining them, not even in the house, in a fucking trailer.
Right. Storage container.
Storage container. Yes.
In South Carolina, so there's fucking humidity and shit going on there too.
Yeah, imagine being chained in a fucking storage container in South Carolina. Like, talk about a tin box, literally.
Right? And then watching the dude kill your boyfriend while you're chained at the neck, and he's gonna fuck the shit out of you anytime he wants, whenever he wants. Imagine the terror. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Insane. Fucking.
And that's what makes those people tick. That's the sick part. They love to see that person squirm.
Right. And that's what gets them off. Yeah. And
that's where I'm like, where can we see that coming? Well,
that goes back to the FBI profiles and shit, and how you start looking at.
No, what I'm saying is, if we can get good enough at detecting like DNA markers in fetuses or before birth.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm sure they're working on that. There's people way smarter than me. I love to say that. It's like, thank God there's people way smarter than me, because we wouldn't be having this podcast if I had to be responsible for this, because I don't know the first. We barely got Chris back on. I mean, and that was just an email address and maybe a password or something. Right. It was a struggle.
I still don't know how we got back on, so hopefully it doesn't have an issue next week. Cause
it's all just, good, man.
You know.
It was fun for somebody else to get frustrated other than me. So it's not often I get to talk somebody else down off the ledge.
Right. And just so, because you have no idea what we're talking about, every time we do our show, I restart my computer because I have Starlink, so it has these weird firewalls and shit. And it collects all this stuff in my cache. So back in the day when we first started, there was a couple episodes where we just stopped. We were mid conversation and just ended. We couldn't figure out why. So we learned that when I restart my Mac, that it's not an issue. So when I restart my Mac, the catch is I get signed out of everything. So I have to go back in and sign into everything. And so the link that I usually used wasn't working, so I wasn't signing in. And so I had to call Mike, like, dude, I can't fucking get in here. What's going on? And then
I knew you were having trouble because you always pop in when I become full screen. Like, if you're looking at our screens right now, I'm a little box on, like you're watching side-by-side sporting events. Yeah, that's how we look.
Yep.
So, like, when I go big full screen, a second later he pops in. That's how I know he's logging on. Like, he never even has to tell me. It's like, oh, there's Chris.
Yeah.
I went full screen and there was no Chris. And there was no Chris. And there was no Chris.
That wasn't. It was. And it's
my phone will start ringing anytime.
And when you have a show called the Chris and Mike Show,
it's important for Chris to be here. Yes.
We both have to be here because it doesn't work if it's Chris and Dave and there's no Dave on the show. You gotta.
We've had Dave on the show.
We have had Dave on the show.
Dave from Ireland.
There's a dude from high school, Dave Kisner, really cool guy. We actually did mock rock where we did Metallica song. I think it was one, and we just all we did was had tennis rackets and we banged our head.
That's awesome.
But so he was at the reunion. We were chatting a little bit, and I went into this one room where we were at, and I was like, Dave, and he's like, Dave's not here. I'm like, no, you didn't. So we went through the Cheech and Chong bit. He's like, dude, you had that cassette. I'm like, I did, man. Basketball.
We all loved that as a band.
Oh,
Scott loved that too.
Fuck. It was great, dude. It was so great. Such a funny bit, man. Dave's not here.
And it's awesome, even to this day, when you run into somebody like you just did with your buddy, where you know instantly that they know that you know that they know, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, yeah.
It's the if you know, you know thing.
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know, back in the, late 70s, early 80s, Cheech and Chong came out with a cassette tape, not a movie, not a video, just a cassette tape.
Right.
And there was a hilarious bit on there where a guy's knocking on the door and he's like, it's me, Dave, let me in.
Dave?
I keep saying, Dave's not here. Obviously, Dave's knocking on the door, right? No, it's me, Dave.
Right.
And you had to be there. But it's hilarious because those two guys know delivery and timing and how to tell a joke, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if you haven't heard it, YouTube it. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
It's on Apple Music. Cheech and Chong's greatest hits.
There you go.
Let's see. Let's make So, earake my eye. Let's make a dope deal.
Let's make a dope deal's hilarious. I remember that one now.
Basketball Jones, Blind Melon Chitlin,
Blind Melon Chitlin,
Sister Mary Elephant, Sergeant Sedanko. Oh, it starts with Dave.
One.
Right. So it starts with Dave, but it only goes for 39 seconds. And then they go back to Dave, continued.
Yes.
That's only 18 seconds. So it's less than a minute.
He keeps coming in as the cassette goes on. That's the funny part.
Right.
Because Dave keeps trying to get in. The whole cassette.
Yeah. And then you have Cruising with Pedro de Pacas, The Continuing Adventures of Pedro de Pacas and Man, Pedro at the Drive-In, and then Trippin' in Court. It's 12 songs, 55 minutes, released in January 1st, 1981.
Look at me go.
Dave.
Late 70s, early 80s. I was
Dave's
right
not
there.
here. So I wonder if that's on iTunes. I'm going to find out right now, man.
I bet it is.
iTunes
So
store.
since we ended up down the Cheech and Chong rabbit hole,
Cheech and Chong.
did you know that Chong is the tall, goofy-looking one, right? Cheech is the...
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So Chong was on, I believe, Rogan. Might have been Howard Stern.
Okay.
But he completely admits that the severed relationship between those two is all his fault because he was responsible for the money back then. And he just openly admits, I made some bad financial deals. So he said, I'd never give Cheech a hard time because I was the one that, was supposed to be looking out for our best interests and didn't. That's awesome, dude. It's on iTunes, folks.
It is
Ladies
on
and gentlemen,
iTunes.
If you like to laugh and you got a good sense of humor, Chris, the reason that Chris and I get along so well is if you are in my inner circle and that group is very small, you have to have some kind of sick sense of humor and not get offended by it.
Right.
And that particular one is not that level of, I would say that, as long as you like comedy, you're going to laugh, but I have an incredibly sick sense of humor. Just ask the people that have to work with me every day.
Right. So there's the ultimate sin. I just did that one too.
That's such a great album.
And see, boys and girls, by doing iTunes like I do, the artist actually makes a penny. Okay? So, you can have 40 million downloads, and one of those pennies that they get is from me now. Support your local musicians. Go to iTunes, not Spotify. Don't do it free.
Don't be a Mike. He can say it.
Don't be like
I have
Michaels.
thick skin. Don't be like Mike.
Like
Tell
Mike.
him.
But that's the thing. Like Mike. If I could be like Mike.
Yeah, well, in
like
this
Mike.
case, Mike's
if
wrong.
I could be like Mike. One, you're not 6'7" black man who can fly from the free throw line and slam dunk the ball into this golden rim.
And in my defense,
Yes.
here's the other difference.
Okay.
Almost every and Chris will attest to this because he was in our band, for a lot of years, and he spent a lot of time writing songs, sitting around the couch in my apartment, at the band place. I had a fuck ton, and that's a technical term, fuck ton.
Google it. Fuck ton, it's there.
Of CDs and cassettes and VHS, and I couldn't even tell you how many untold thousands of fucking dollars on cassettes and CDs, and I've been there, done that. So in my defense, I owned almost every physical copy of every song that's on my Spotify account.
Okay. And just so you know, I just Googled fuck ton, okay? It's a noun. It's a large amount, a lot. Fuck used as an intensive plus ton. The American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, 5th edition, copyright 2022 by HarperCollins Publishers.
No.
Fuck ton. Now, just so you know, it's also in the Urban Dictionary. It's a metric fuck ton, okay? Metric fuck ton, boys and girls. This, by all means, is even more comical. A metric fuck ton is a standard unit of measurement for amount. 1 metric fuck ton is equal to 25 shitloads. A shitload is equal to 25 ass loads, and an ass load is equal to 20 to 50 something else. So there you have it. Now, while we're on tons, okay, we're on ton. How much is an ass ton, you may ask? Well, an ass ton is 1,000 units of ass.
You're going to kill me.
Ass weights vary from cheek to cheek, so a proper conversion similarly cannot be made. A shit ton is more easily converted as it refers to exactly 1 imperial ton of shit. 1 shit ton is exactly 0.0907185 metric tons. You heard it here, probably not first, but we're all about engaging and educating. So we hope you engaged you into the shit ton, fuck ton, ass ton. And now you know that fuck ton is in the American Heritage Dictionary. And there it is, the page. A large amount, a lot. That's fucking crazy.
I had to I had to text my flooring guy back there, so I'm glad that you entertained us with the Urban Dictionary.
Fuck ton and ass ton and, all the tons. All the tonnage.
I'm going one step further. On Friday, I'm doing another one of my spare rooms I'm turning into my jam room,
Right on.
Putting all my guitars in there because this is going to end up being like a place where we can have multiple guests. At some point, I'd like to do like either a monthly or every 2 or 3 months. I have 2 or 3, 4, I don't know how many people want to participate. I have at least 2 friends that want to just come hang out, do a podcast.
Oh, right on.
Get lit up. Be funny, just like Chris and I were doing right now. Have more one of those kind of.
Yeah.
And, obviously they would love for you to be a part of it too.
Sure.
Not the Chris and Mike show without Chris.
Yeah, I'm game.
So,
I'm game.
Well, this is an upcoming thing, and I have I have a good friend, Sunshine. She's been saying, I can't wait till we have this party. So that's kind of what the plan is to have here's my new studio. When I get the table in here, that's coming hopefully pretty soon. For those of you that don't know, that don't follow us on Facebook, shame on you. You should.
Shame on you.
I put all new floors in the studio and my kitchen.
All new floors.
And now there's new floors going in the jam room. So I don't have to look at that ugly-ass fucking tile anymore. That's going to make me super happy.
Well, and you did have the 1970s or 1960s vinyl flooring, which, I liked that picture. That was really
I didn't
fun.
have to look at that, though. It did have a wood vinyl floor on the top of it. But yeah.
Right. But yeah, once you took that apart, there it was.
Did I tell you that I ran into the lady that I bought the house from, who is one of my mom's best friends, and she told me there was matching wallpaper to go with that fucking floor, Chris.
Oh, that's fantastic.
At one time, that was floor-to-ceiling wallpaper with that floor. Now, can you imagine? You've never done it, but I can't imagine taking about 7.5 grams of mushrooms and walking into that fucking room. I would never be able to leave. I'd be stuck there for like 10 hours because those patterns would never stop moving. You just have to sit in a chair and turn every now and then.
That's fucking awesome.
Oh my God, I got trapped in this room. Yeah. Even when you were sober, that'd drive you nuts.
Yeah. Well,
what he's referring to is I had a very colorful pattern on my floor underneath.
Yeah.
Think 1962, 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Crazy babies tell you no lies. That's an Ozzy Osbourne song. Crazy babies don't tell you no lies.
So that would be Zakk Wylde's first album with Ozzy, and I love every song on that album.
What was that album called?
No Rest for the Wicked.
For the Wicked, okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's the one that Miracle Man's on, too.
Oh,
you love it. You like that song?
I do love Miracle Man.
Yeah.
I do love Miracle Man.
That's his little 2 middle fingers to...
Is Tinker Train on that one?
No, that's No More Tears.
Is it really?
Yep.
That's
the
a
next
fucking
one.
good album, too, man. That's a really
I love
good
that
album.
riff.
That whole album, No More Tears, it was one of my all-time favorites of his, man. Just start to finish, and just fucking Road to Nowhere.
There's no bad songs on No More Tears either.
No,
2 albums in a row, he just crushed it.
Yeah. Was that because he was clean? That was like probably one of his first true "I'm clean" album. I think Ozzy has so much fucking material, dude. I just can't imagine him doing anything but writing music and fucking around. I mean, he fucks around with Jack a lot, but he wants to do a show. Did you know that? Like he's going to be in a wheelchair and shit. I just don't. I would remember Ozzy running around on stage being crazy, dumping buckets of water on his head and throwing water out in the crowd and just making everybody clap. And every other song is like, every other word is like, "Show me your fucking hands." You know,
yeah,
but
like, you have to look at it from his perspective. He feels like he's letting us all down by being old, you know?
Well, yeah, but let's be honest. Nobody expected Ozzy to be this old.
No.
Nobody.
But I can tell you from a musician standpoint for sure, and you can too.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a fan base like he did, he's literally the godfather of heavy metal.
Yeah.
And to your point when you said, I don't think he ever runs out of material, he had, I don't guess he probably ever ran out, but he also had every musician in the world going, you need songs? Here's a song. Because everybody wanted Ozzy to record. He recorded 2 songs for Lemmy.
Yeah.
Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Coming Home,
Yep.
What was the other one?
It wasn't The Road to Nowhere, was it? Look, see if the Google machine knows.
Songs
Ask
written.
what songs did Lemmy from Motorhead write for Ozzy? Maybe it was just that one. I thought he had 2. Because it surprised me that Lemmy wrote Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Oh, there's a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's a co-writer. I Don't Want to Change the World. Good fucking song.
Awesome. Love that riff, too.
Mama, I'm Coming Home. Good fucking song. Desire. Good fucking song.
Oh, yeah.
Hellraiser. Good fucking song. Yep.
I've heard Lemmy's version of Hellraiser. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Hellraiser was actually Zach and Ozzy both have credit for Hellraiser with Lemmy.
Now, how fun would that be to be in a fucking room writing that song with Zach, Ozzy?
How fun would it be
Lemmy?
just to be in a room with Ozzy for fucking an hour? Just an hour. Like,
Zach says it's like going to the circus every day. That's his description. He says, you want to know what being on the road with Ozzy's like? It's literally like going to the circus every fucking day. You never know what's going to happen or what's going to come out of his mouth because he's like a big kid. You know?
Okay, so fuck me. Oh, wow. Okay. I did a song list, but that's wrong. I got to do album list. Oh, there it is. Albums. Wow. Fuck. Okay. So the only okay. So it's not. I was like, well, this is an order. So not in any particular order, just the albums that he's put out. No More Tears, Bark at the Moon, Blizzard of Oz, Patient Number 9. There's a really fucking good song of Patient Number 9 that I love.
like that album.
The one that says oh motherfucker, I don't believe in Jesus. Right? But it's days like this that I don't believe in Jesus, which that fucking lyrically, that's just an amazing song because it's not saying and fucking stupid people, oh, he doesn't believe in Jesus, he's fucking devil. Fuck you, you don't understand. Listen to the fucking words, man.
You cannot believe in Jesus and not be a devil worshiper.
No,
you cannot believe in either.
I know. But you know how fucking people are.
I know.
It's one of those days. One of those days is the 5th track on that thing. Like they released Patient Number 9 with Jeff Beck, which I get. You know, Jeff Beck, legend. But one of those days out of all that album, that's my favorite one.
That is a great song.
Fuck yeah, it's a great song.
How crazy
it's one of those
is
days
this?
I don't believe in Jesus.
Within the last 6 weeks, that came up out of 19,000 songs in my liked folder.
Right on.
I just heard it for the first time, like within the last 6 weeks, and I really liked it too. I rewound it and played it.
Yep.
I started it over and played it again.
Yeah. So you got so back to the Osbourne catalog. And they call him an English musician and a media personality. So got No More Tears, Bark at the Moon, Blizzard of Oz, Patient Number 9, and Diary of a Madman. That was my first like real trippy getting into Ozzy album I ever bought.
Diary of a Madman is awesome.
Yeah.
I used to go to sleep. Song. It's
me too. I used to go to sleep to that. Ultimate Sin.
I believe that.
Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads tribute. Fun fact.
I love that album too.
Fun fact, lost my virginity to that record.
Fun fact, the guy who I went to high school with that moved away, joined the Marines, moved to Oklahoma, and then moved right on a 45-degree angle from me, became our mailman, gave me that album because for some reason he didn't like it at the time. I don't know if he still feels the same way, but shout out to Mark. Thank you. Yours is a better story. Chris lost his virginity to that
album. Not if you ask the girl, because, later, because we still chat. We don't ever bring that up, but I think she'd be like, yeah, you really fucking Ozzy Osbourne, that's like, whatever. I think she was a virgin too, but we don't talk about that because I never would have actually had sex with a virgin.
Luther Vandross.
Yeah, it wasn't my
Or Al Green. Let's get it on.
So onwards,
man.
Speak of the devil. No Rest for the Wicked. Osmosis. Black Rain. Ordinary Man. Live and Loud. Fuck that. Live and Loud to me awesome. Is like the epitome of a live record and a live visual DVD VHS.
Yes.
That thing was just fucking. I wore that cassette. I wore that VHS thing out at the job I had because I ran group homes, so we had the TV on all the time. I wore that shit out.
Me too.
Wore it out.
So did my cousin Neil. Shout out to Neil.
Scream, Down to Earth, Undercover. If we just cover songs, I wasn't super happy about that one. I got it because it's Ozzy, but I was like,
I'm not a huge fan either. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne live EP from 1980. Ozzy Live from 2012, X-Ray, Oz Tory Part 1. There's no way that's right. Sings Jewish folk songs. No, that's not right. That's something else. There's no fucking way. I don't know why that's in there.
I don't want to believe it.
Live at Budokan, Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy Bloody Ozzy, St. Denis, Montreal, 1981. That's some weird thing. Prince of Darkness, The Osmond Cometh, Memories of a Madman, The Ten Commandments, Kansas City, 1986, The Best of Oz, The Essential Ozzy Osbourne. That's a really, if you want all the good music in one collection, The Essential Ozzy Osbourne's great. That's one of my favorites I listen to all the time.
Agreed.
See You on the Other Side. That's obviously just a single. Just Say Ozzy and EP. The Other Side of Ozzy. Flipping the B-sides, and he's flipping you off on the cover because that's Ozzy. Don't Blame Me. Ozzy Osbourne's iTunes Festival, London 2010. Diary of a Madman, some type of edition with that. Live EP in 1982. The Collection in 2014, and then Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman combo in 2011.
Okay, use the Google machine to do this.
Okay.
How many albums has Ozzy sold out of all those?
Okay.
I'm just curious because I don't know.
Fuck me.
100 million.
Does this count? Let's see if it counts. Okay, this includes the solo work and Black Sabbath releases, and you hit the nail on the head. 100 million albums.
Damn, I'm good.
100, and he's going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this month. He went with Sabbath in 2006, and he'll be in as a solo artist this month.
That's awesome.
Finally, and I'm so glad they did it before he died. Knock on wood, he's not going to die, but legit. There's no reason why it took him this long to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He was there the day heavy metal was invented.
Yes,
and for those of you, yes, his band invented it. And for those of you who have a sense of humor like I do, they had the ultimate sense of humor. So here's the short version of a very long story.
Right.
They wanted to be the best blues band. Every band in England at that time was fascinated with the Mississippi Delta blues, which obviously came from America and the Mississippi Delta. They loved it, and they tried to emulate it as much as they could. And Ozzy and Geezer and Tony, Bill, the guys in Sabbath immediately realized that they must not have been a very good blues band because everybody just kept talking while they were playing, and it fucking infuriated them. So they went over and turned their amps up as loud as they would go so nobody could talk while they were playing.
There you go.
And heavy metal was invented. It just, that's where it came from, was out of sheer necessity to get people to pay attention to them. So this man and three other men stood on that stage and invented this style of music, and he's just going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist who became a solo artist 40-some years ago. So he was eligible 20-some years ago to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was a long-winded way to back up what Chris just said. It's a fucking travesty.
Just to give you an idea, okay, I'm going to go from 50 on, just the top 50 selling albums of 1970, okay?
Okay.
And this is going to put in perspective what Sabbath did and who they were up against, okay? So Ray Price, Neil Diamond, Jefferson Airplane, Hank Williams Sr., Grateful Dead, Gary Puckett and the Union Gaps, Elvis Presley's Worldwide 50 Gold Album Award Hits, Volume 1.
Wow.
And fucking Elvis, Let's Be Friends, Elvis, Almost in Love. Yes, the Yes album. Elton John, Tumbleweed Collection, The Doors, just The Doors, The Doors.
Wow.
Moody Blues, Joni Mitchell, Cat Stevens, another Elvis Presley, one of your favorites and mine, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Absolutely.
Miles Davis, The Rolling Stones. Number 31 is Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath. At the time, it was 1,205,000 records sold on this, whatever date this was.
And that was huge
right.
in 1970 to have 1 million selling. That was unheard of.
Well, check it out. So then you have Linda Anderson, the single, Rose Garden. I beg your pardon. I never promised you Rose Garden. Pink Floyd's Adam Hart, Mother, Chicago 2. Another Thing with Elvis, Morrison Hotel, Peter, Paul, and Mary, Jimi Hendrix Band of the Gypsies, The Carpenters, Grand Funk Railroad, Barbra Streisand. Now we're in the top 20. Neil Diamond, Grand Funk Railroad, Grateful Dead, The Who, Paul McCartney, Woodstock soundtrack for the Woodstock series, 2.2 million albums.
Fuck.
Crazy Horse and Neil Young, 3.4 million. James fucking Taylor, 3.4 million.
That's
Hey
he's
Jude,
a man.
The Beatles, 3.6 million. George Harrison, All Things Must Pass, 3.6 million. Now we're in the top 10. Cat Stevens, Tea for the Tillerman, 3.8 million. Van Morrison, Moondance, 4.1 million. Cosmo Factory from CCR, 4.5 million. These are like sales, like individuals, like, right? Sly and the Family Stone's Greatest Hits, 5 million. Santana, who I don't like, Santana, 5.8 million records in 1970. My all-time favorite Beatles song, Let It Be, that album, 5.9 million. That's the top 5. Okay, now we're in top 5. Number 4, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Deja Vu. Number 3, Paranoid by Black Sabbath with 12 fucking million copies. The jump, dude, from number 4 to number 3 is 7.9 million to 12 million.
So Crosby, Stills, and Nash had 7.9 million?
9 million, yes.
And then
Sabbath,
it went to 12?
12 million for Sabbath. That's number 3. Number 2, the Mighty Mighty Led Zeppelin 3 at 13 million. And then number 1 in 1970 with 25 million albums sold, Bridge Over Troubled Waters by Simon and Garfunkel. So
I love that song.
But the concept here is for Black Sabbath to penetrate the top 10 when all
As
you
a
have
brand new style of music.
Right.
Yes.
That's the thing. With no internet, no fucking social media, you're just fucking selling records and you're playing it on the radio.
That's how good they were.
Cat Stevens, Van Morrison, CCR, Sly and the Family Stone, Santana, The Beatles, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Simon and Garfunkel. 8 of the 10 spots on that.
So
then
now, for the people listening,
right?
Think about what he just said. Those bands, and everybody knows at least one song from every band he just named. They're what you would consider, classic light rock almost now, And then you got Black Sabbath in the mix.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like you have
That's so cool.
You have this so like everybody's getting stoned, relaxed, chilling. I don't Zeppelin. You're going down you're definitely smoking pot when you're listening to Zeppelin. Everything there. So. Everything there is like good times, coming out of the 60s, 90s, the 70s, the whole new decade, and then boom, in your motherfucking face, Black Sabbath. Just 12 million fucking copies. Boom.
Iron Man.
Right? Just fucking crazy, dude. Just craziness, man.
Paranoid, Children of the Grave. Come on.
So why we're here in the 70s, the best-selling albums of that decade, the number 1 best-selling album of the decade with 50 million sales.
The Eagles' greatest hits.
Nope, Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, fuck yeah.
The greatest hits weren't out yet for the Eagles. Number 2, 43 million sales for Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. Actually, I was wrong about your greatest hits thing.
Yeah, it was 71 to 74.
Right, that's number 4, my bad. Number 3, though, is Hotel California, which if you look at my thing, what's it say underneath my name? We're all just prisoners here of our own device.
That's crazy.
Number 5.
Real raw and relevant.
There you go. number 5, which is indicative of the time, Saturday Night Fever soundtrack with the Bee Gees, Staying Alive.
That's a great soundtrack. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I love it.
Then you got Rumors from Fleetwood Mac with 40 million. Led Zeppelin 4, $37 million. Pink Floyd's The Wall, $33 million. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, $31 million. And the soundtrack to Grease for $25 million, right out the top 10. Which is a tie, really, because the 11, 12, and 13 all have $25 million. So it's Grease, Boston's Tapestry by Carole King, and then Simon Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. So those 10 four-way tie for 10th.
So now here the sad thing is if you listen to a lot of those stories, all that money went to the record label because, not in Led Zeppelin's case, but in a lot of, like when Sharon found Ozzy, he was penniless.
Yeah.
In a fucking hotel room.
Yep.
Boozed up, wouldn't open the fucking curtains, couldn't get him to go outside. He was just a shell.
A shell of a man. Uh-huh. Dude.
Because they signed a shit fucking contract. So with what Chris just told you guys, they should have been able to retire because it was unheard of to sell 1 million copies in 1970. We're talking 12 million. Those guys should have never had to work another day in their life.
No.
But like 98% of that money went back to the record company because there were shit contracts back then.
Yep.
That's why Peter Grant was the most feared manager in rock and roll, because he knew how to talk to the promoters and the record companies and keep those guys off Led Zeppelin's back so that they could keep writing good songs.
Yeah.
That's why they never had to work. Jimmy Page has never had to work another day in his life since 1979.
No. You know what's crazy, dude? The best-selling albums of the 1980s, I was scrolling through it because I'm like, where the fuck is Van Halen? They're 47th in the 1980s with just under 12 million sales for 1984.
They were not a huge selling band until, their first number one single was Jump in 1984.
Yeah.
But they didn't sell. I don't think they sold a metric fuck ton of records up to that point.
Bring it back around. Way to bring it back around. Yeah. That's fucking crazy, man.
Look up, what did Van Halen 1 sell? I'm curious. Van Halen 1 total sales.
So they have, according to RIAA, the Van Halen is the 19th best-selling music group artist of all time with over 56 million album sales in the USA. So how many copies did Van Halen sell?
It's kind of skewed now because everybody found it later on, but
among the 70s, 80s artists, Van Halen may be one of the weakest sellers in terms of compilations.
A lot of people don't know that, man.
Yeah, Best of Volume 1 and Best of Both Worlds sold nearly 10 million combined.
I bought those.
But it's not much for a band with nearly 80 million album sales, even though, I said over 56 million, okay. They had 13 number one hits on the charted. I'm sorry, Van Halen has charted 13 number one hits. Yeah, Billboard, that's cool. 13 number one hits. I did not know that.
So 12 of those are Sammy Hagar's?
They have to be.
Because I think Jump was their only number one hit with David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
And I'll go to the grave saying David Lee Roth is arguably the greatest front man to ever live.
I agree with that. He just, there's
Tony would say Freddie Mercury, and I agree. That's a good argument.
Yeah.
Because Freddie was a way better singer, right?
Yeah.
But David Lee Roth was such a fucking showman, man.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what it takes to entertain a fucking crowd of people? You've done it 1,000 times, you know?
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah. So 1984 Jump, and then When It's Love, and then Can't Stop Loving You, according to this. They had 13 number one hits, but I'm trying to find the other ones. They're not dropping the other ones. The biggest hit for Van Halen was Jump. You're correct in that. The number one Van Halen song of all time is Unchained. That's my introduction to Unchained.
Me too.
I saw them on MTV, and he was jumping off that stage. I'm like,
that's what made me want to be a rock star.
Right? That's when I started drawing. In school, I started drawing bands. And, other kids would be drawing like shootouts and fights and tanks and shit. I'm drawing fucking stages with, drum risers and the lights going down on the guitarist and bass player and the singer in the middle, just doing all that kind of shit.
That's when I got a paper route and went to the pawn shop and bought a guitar.
There you go. Their first hit was You Really Got Me because of, Eddie. Eddie made that song what it is. That fucking, you heard that shit for the first time. Holy fucking shit. Who made more money with Van Halen? He wins the David Lee Roth wins the Van Halen commerce battle with 57 million worldwide. The Hagar's 27 million worldwide.
You know
sales.
why? Because those tours were fucking massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Eddie's
where they shined, is when you saw them live.
Yeah. Some of Eddie's favorite songs were "Girl Gone Bad" and "Drop Dead Legs."
I agree. I would shock people by guessing the same too, because the rhythm guitar in those is so wicked.
Okay, so they had 47 hits, 26 of them reaching the top 10, 13 hitting number one. Among number one is "Jump," "When It's Love," "Pound Cake," "Humans Being," and "Me Wise Magic." I loved "Me Wise Magic."
Me too, dude.
You know, Auto-Tune did David Lee Roth well.
If you guys haven't heard that song, go check it out.
Yeah. But
a lot of those high harmonies are Michael Anthony too.
Oh, I know, dude. Fucking Michael Anthony's he's the backing voice behind Van Halen. When he left, I'm like, really? And I mean, Wolfgang was Wolfgang, but you can't. Michael Anthony, dude, fucking carried that band as far as the fucking.
But you know what? If truth be told, I think Eddie knew that he wasn't well. And you know,
probably.
You know, from being a father, if Jake was a fucking bass player, you'd be like, man, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to be around much longer. I think he knew something.
Probably.
And he had an opportunity to go fucking tour the world with his kid. Yeah, I thought the same thing, but in hindsight, I'm only saying this in hindsight. I was the guy going, you fucking kick Michael Anthony out of Van Halen? Are you kidding me? He is Van Halen, you know?
Right.
Just like you, me, Rick, and Scott were nemesis. You can't replace one of us. It just didn't work. David Lee Roth quit, so they had no choice but to get Sammy. That doesn't count.
Right. True that.
If somebody quits the band, the show must go on.
Right, the show must continue. It must continue. Speaking of continuing, I gotta pee. We're in here for an hour and I don't know, 10 minutes. Should we wrap it up?
Okay.
I think so. This is a good show. I like we went like all over the place, and I like that it was more music heavy. Yeah, a little bit of serial killer in it. We haven't talked about music like this for a long time.
No, and you know what's funny is I was going to say something before we started, just so everybody's on the up and up. Chris can tell you I didn't say anything because he had trouble logging on, and everything that was important to me was no longer important because I had to help him get on, or we wouldn't be talking to you.
Exactly.
The whole day at work, I'm like, you know, to in the spirit of you and I having a good time, which we should too.
Yeah.
I would like to talk more music, and that's what we ended up doing. So it was a lot of fucking fun. It's just fortuitous. That's my word for the day.
Yeah, fortuitous. Well, and it was nice that it started with Jakey Lee. I mean, it was a weird thing to start with Jakey Lee being shot.
I'm glad he's going to be okay. Yes.
Right, but that opened the door to Ozzy's Ultimate Sin, which that's one of the albums I haven't downloaded. So now I downloaded it, so I'm gonna fucking rock that out. And then we went to Cheech and Chong and we talked baseball, and then we went back to music. It's interesting what happened in the 70s with Sabbath and what other artists were around them, because I heard, and the reason why I did that is because I heard something the other day about it, that when they came out, it was kind of like to what you said, they were the godfathers of heavy metal, and they did it so because everybody was talking. But the bands that they were around, the bands that were popular out of those top 10, Zeppelin and Sabbath were the only two that were heavy.
I was fascinated at that.
Yeah, me too. Because otherwise,
I didn't know that.
No, it's sit down and fucking pass the bong around in peace, love, and understanding.
Yeah, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young or whatever. It's like they weren't heavy.
No, not at all. It was all folk. It was all like folk music based, if you think about it. And that because I mean, you're coming out of the decade of the 60s, right? So it's kind of like the 80s. You came out of the 80s and hair metal died, and all of a sudden grunge came up. So that's kind of the thing. Out of the 60s, you got the hippie movement and all that.
Girls had flowers in their hair, man.
Right. Free love, free sex, and then all of a sudden 70s, you got the disco movement happening, and fucking there's Black Sabbath, coming out of the gates like, hey, this is new. Imagine if the music industry embraced them and we went to an entire heavy metal decade like that, right? Imagine all the garage bands that would have been had they embraced that heaviness and that dark side of music that they created.
That would have been crazy.
Where would we be now musically, right? Imagine that. Instead of disco, we went heavy metal.
But eventually we got Metallica.
We did, because of Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath doesn't get enough credit, I think, as far as people pointing to them as an influence. It's the Beatles, it's Elvis, which I get, but you got to start going Black Sabbath, and
they're a
especially
huge
the heavy
influence on
bands.
me.
Oh, absolutely.
I got a song I want you. I got a song I want you to listen to.
Okay.
Because the lyrics blew my mind, and I'm not a lyrics person. Look up the Tragically Hip Cordelia. Cordelia.
I'm making a note of it.
I had to find who the fuck Cordelia was, so you do your own research. He sings about it's like he keeps saying I'm not Cordelia, and I'm like, who the fuck is Cordelia?
And what's the song called?
It's called Cordelia. Cordelia.
Cordelia. Okay, I will look it up.
You'll love it. Being a lyrics guy, and when you find out how this song was written and what it was about, you'll be like, man, that's gangster.
Right on.
Because it's very deep. He must be a very well-read person is what I'm getting at.
Okay. I'll check it out, man.
You have a great rest of your night, brother.
Was this 50? Was this 50?
Oh, yeah. We're on. Yeah, I don't think we ever said. Episode 50. We're 2 episodes away from what everybody would consider 1 year.
It is 1 year. And boys and girls.
It is 1 year tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, and boys and girls, make sure you check the YouTube page because we changed up the bling and the show thumbnails to be indicative of the beginning of year 2 of the Chris and Mike show.
Yes, I like your new title card. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool.
I'm very clever with Canva. Boys and girls, Canva is the way. Canva is legit. I do so much shit with Canva. It's fucking awesome. I'm just saying.
You did a fine job. I like it.
Just saying. Cool. Love you, buddy. Everybody, remember, tomorrow's a better day, so don't have a bad day. If you're having a bad day, it's okay. Go to sleep, wake up. Tomorrow's a better day. You're not alone in your struggles. You are not alone. So don't
you actually heard
alone.
Me have a shit day on the podcast, so it's out there for everybody to hear, and I don't think you've ever heard that before, and you probably won't hear it for a while now. I had a great day today and got to help him get on here, and he calmed down, and we had a good time, and we had a great podcast, so I agree with Chris. Don't let the bad days win. Yeah. I love you too, brother. I know you got to pee. We'll let you go.
Peace out.
Peace,
See
man.
ya. See ya.